We have one that came in on my website, which I thought was really, really sweet. And the question here, newbie femdoms, listen up because you might be very interested in this question and my answer. But here we go. I've recently met a sub for the first time who is interested in a lot of my qualities. Let me just stop there. That is a beautiful phrasing. When you find someone, dom or sub, who is interested in your qualities, in your character, in who you are, not just your kinks, not just what you can do for them in bed, not just what you can do for them in a scene or play, okay? Genuinely care about the people that you choose to be in relationship with. So that, very good already. Interested in a lot of my qualities, but I still feel a bit nervous about being her first hands-on dominant. I'm a switch and I'm very new in the field, but I've always known there's a lot of dominance in me. We're going to meet soon for talking and getting to know one another more before hopefully getting in a play, space, or scene after that. How do I know I've done my research well enough if I'm still nervous about messing up in practice? Is it okay to be a bit giggly and flimsy to begin with? I love that. Here's the thing. Is this question just so sweet? I just love this question so much. So let me start off by answering that very last one. Is it okay to be a little giggly and a little flimsy? Because same? All right. So yes, I think it is perfectly acceptable. I know giggly and flimsy is so sweet, right? So I think that giggly is great. Flimsy, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure if it's literally a matter of flimsy in you physically being able to operate some implements. Maybe you need to build up some confidence in those areas, or if this is flimsy in terms of emotionally flimsy, you're not sure if you can maintain that level of intensity, whatnot. But either way, your submissive here knows that you're new to this. And it seems like you both are pretty new together. By how you phrased this, that's the impression. Hello, JS. Good evening, good evening. So I still feel a bit nervous about being her first hands-on dominant. Her first hands-on dominant. So, I mean, she's just as new to this as you are. So I think that's a really great thing is if you are a new dominant and you have a new submissive, as long as you communicate that, hey, I've done my research, I know about safety and sanity and consent. I know that consent means a completely mindful, willing, and uncoerced choice to say yes and the ability to revoke that yes at any time without fear of repercussions. And I want to set up an environment of safety and trust for my submissive. You know the basics. You have enough knowledge at that point, even if you don't know any implements, even if you don't know the ins and outs of some specific fetishes and kinks, you know the basics to be able to hold dominant space and maneuver a submissive in submissive energy. Even if for the first couple times you just get some protocols down. You maybe teach some positions that make you feel more dominant, things like that. So that's number one. Yes, you're allowed to be new and you're allowed to feel a little like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's okay. Confidence is built through experience. Through you have an experience, it goes well, you do it again, it goes well, you do it again, it goes well. That's how confidence is built, through hands-on practical experience. So you have to start somewhere. And the fact that you have a new submissive here, I think, is really great. It's a really beautiful, compatible thing you got going, especially, like I said, if you communicate. And your submissive is aware that this is your first time being hands-on with someone. Now, with that being said, I think the nervous part is something that you're going to have to work through a bit. Yes, you can feel a little bit of, all right, game on. And that's okay. But if it crosses the line into where you feel crippled, where you can't think straight, when you don't really know how to proceed, then I would say you might want to spend some more time alone planning. If you can get better prepared, you might feel more confident going through your scene. And I did a video about how to build a proper scene, how to build that intensity, the different levels in the scene, etc. So that is on here on YouTube if you'd like to check that out. But don't feel ashamed or weird or like you're not doing it right by being a little bit lighter with your energy at first, by being a little bit more playful or silly a little bit, or giggly. That's the word you used. I'm sorry, giggly and silly. And that might help ease your submissive. If she's new to this, then that might be something that she kind of goes, oh, okay. I can be a little lenient with myself. I don't have to be perfect because my dominant is creating this environment where she's showing me she doesn't have to be perfect, so I don't have to be perfect. You see what I'm saying? You being new doesn't exempt you from being a dominant. You being new can be a really beautiful way to build devotion as you learn and as you grow. You go slow together. You learn together. It could be a really beautiful way to build intimacy and connection with your submissive. That's how I look at it, for sure. So, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. Serious and stern is sexy, but some of my favorite experiences with my dom are when we are just enjoying each other and being honest about our feelings. Absolutely. There is no right way. Let me just hear me out. There is no right way to be dominant. There are wrong ways to be dominant. Okay? Don't conflate my words. Don't confuse my words. There are wrong ways to be dominant. You do have pseudo-doms. You do have abusers dressed in dom's clothing. There are wrong ways to be dominant. But what I mean when I say there's no one right way to be dominant is you can have a switch who's very, very dominant when they're in the top space. Okay, that doesn't make them less dominant by being a switch. In fact, 99.9% of the femdoms I've ever worked with, ever coached with, ever trained are switches in some way, shape, or form. Most femdoms are sexual switches, boys, and that's why you submissive men, and I do not want to get on this tirade because I'm going to do a whole video about it, but that's why you submissive men are failing in your quest to find a female-led relationship or femdom, is you are looking at her as a means to an end. It's all about you. You are not actually being submissive, okay? So, as a femdom, you can have different moods, different expressions. As a dominant, you can have different moods, different expressions. There is no one specific right way to do it. If you feel more soft one day, operate in that dominant space as a soft dom. If you're feeling a little bit short the next day, then operate in that space. But that's the thing. Your dominance should be an extension of your natural energy. It shouldn't be something you have to force yourself into. Okay? So if you're feeling a little bit more silly, and if you're feeling a little shy and you're feeling like, oh my goodness, that's okay. That's okay. It is going to get easier. And you have a newbie submissive that seems very open-minded and accommodating to work with you. Also, newbie dom, you could add in elements of sensory deprivation that might help you feel less on the spot. So whether that be putting headphones on your submissive, right? You don't want to have your submissive hear you maybe scrambling for things or whatever. That's okay. Have them put on some headphones or a blindfold or put them in the corner. Tell them to wait for you in a different room. Tell them to wait for you in a certain position. Whatever. You have the power here. Remember that. In your scene, in your play, you have the power here. You don't have to go at a certain pace. You don't have to even play a certain way. As long as you know your submissive's limits, their boundaries, their desires, and you keep those lines of communication open, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. We all have to start somewhere. No one begins as an expert, okay? So don't be intimidated. Don't feel like an imposter, all right? We're all learning. We're all growing. We all have to start somewhere.